When you hear the term self-care, what are the first things that come to mind? Most often, people think of at least a fluffy white robe and a pair of slippers, whether that be at a spa day or at home on the couch with a bowl of something, binging something. But self-care isn't the things we do to escape from the world. Self-care is the things we do to actively create a life we don't want to escape from. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley sage sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. Now, these moments of stereotypical self-care, it's not that they're not self-care, but we want to be doing them with the mindset, not of escapism, but again, of building a life we don't want to escape from. Which is why, more important than these individual moments of self-care that maybe happen once a week, once a month, maybe even once a year, we want to have little moments of self-care every single day. And that is what I want to share with you when it comes to the little tips I have for doing just that. So, like I talk about meditation being something you can do anywhere, at all, at any time, in any moment, just by taking a deep breath and centering yourself. So too can we have these little moments of self-care every day, just by taking a deep breath and asking ourselves, how do I feel? Taking that moment to check in with yourself and ask, how do I feel? And then based on that feeling, should I be doing this? That is self-care. Those little moments throughout the day. It's not the only thing that is self-care, but those are the biggest moments of self-care. And I have a couple of little tools that I use with my clients to help get in the habit of doing this, because it's not always instinctual for us to have the self-awareness to ask ourselves, how do I feel in any given moment? Because we don't want to just be doing this with the things that it seems obvious to be doing it with, like a fight or a moment of frustration. We want to be doing this all the time, because this is how we build an understanding that we live in a supportive, friendly universe rather than a hostile universe. And if there's one thing I believe in most, it's that when we are willing to start spending a little bit of time thinking differently, we truly can see the supportive universe we live in. You just have to decide, because it is up to you whether you live in a supportive or a hostile universe. The universe is inherently supportive, but you can make it not so, just by the way you think about things. So, the little tip I want to give you guys that I use with my clients is this. Set several alarms on your phone, or for instance, I have an Apple Watch, and on an Apple Watch, they have this Breathe app that has you throughout the day get these little reminders to literally take a moment to breathe. It's a minute, and it has you set how many breaths you want to take in a minute. You could set that. That is something that I do to have those little moments of self-care, to check in with myself. Although I don't need it anymore to make sure that I am taking care of myself. I still have my watch, which I'm not wearing right now. When I am wearing it, remind me just to take a random moment throughout the day. Because anything we want to do on a regular basis, we have to do on a regular basis. Anything you want to become a habit, you have to do habitually. So if it's not instinctual to you to check in with yourself throughout the day, randomly, have something else remind you. Even if it's an alarm on your phone. And set it for a minimum of 3 different times throughout the day. And just start with that. And anytime that alarm goes off, just ask yourself, how am I feeling? And then, at a minimum, if that's all you're asking yourself, that is still a moment of self-care, even if you don't take it any further than that. But if the answer is, I don't feel good, then you can ask yourself, should I be doing this? Is this something I should be doing? Or can I step away from this? Can I stop doing this? Because if on a regular basis you're checking in with yourself and the feeling isn't good, the feeling isn't, I'm doing good right now, then something needs to change. And sometimes that means not being there, and sometimes that means figuring out how to be there with more joy, depending on where there is. But if this is the only thing you do, this is enough to really start building that self-awareness, because eventually, over time, you won't need the alarm anymore. You'll start doing it on your own. Just by having that 3 times a day where you were reminded to do it, you will start remembering to do it. Because at a minimum, having that 3 random times a day of doing it will start reminding you to do it when you are triggered or feeling bad. Because you'll have been practicing it enough randomly that it'll start when you're not feeling good coming to mind. And then if the answer is, I feel great, take a moment to be grateful for that in the present moment. You know, just because you're feeling good doesn't mean there's not something to note about that also. The only meaning anything has is the meaning we give it. And I've been stressing this a lot because I really like that phrase, and it comes from A Course in Miracles, and I've been teaching A Course in Miracles in my Spirituality 2.0 course on Patreon. If you are having a lot of moments in your life where when you check in with yourself, you don't feel good, my intuitive lifestyle course, apart from everything else that I have on my Patreon, I would highly recommend, because it's a handful of tools, and in this last 3rd round, I've really condensed them down to what I felt was the most important. So we went from 8 modules in the 1st round to 7 in the 2nd to 5 in the 3rd, as I took it from more practical to a little more spiritual. Because, you know, it was called the Intuitive Lifestyle Course. And though I have a very practical view of that, I wanted to add just that little extra bit of spirituality to it where I could. So, if you really, really want to start trusting yourself enough to trust the universe, because they're one and the same, we are God, Source, Spirit, Cosmic Consciousness, Higher Self, whatever you want to call it. We are a spirit having a temporary human experience. If you want to know for certain that you live in a supportive universe, you also have to trust yourself. And my Intuitive Lifestyle course definitely sets you up for that, with a handful of different amazing, amazing tools, self-study tools. So yeah. I want to end this by saying that, you know, the other moments of self-care that people like stereotypically think of self-care as, you know, it's not that they're not self-care. It's not that they can't potentially be self-care, but like I said, self-care is not what you do to escape from the world. Self-care is what you do to make a life you don't regularly have to escape from. So if you can do those other things, like get in a big white fluffy robe and go for a spa day, or get in a big white fluffy robe and sit on the couch and just binge watch something, if you can do that with presence, with awareness that you are doing it to relax, as part of building a life you don't want to escape from, more power to you. That's awesome. But make sure that you're not trying to use self-care in any way, spirituality in any way, to try to escape from life. Because I'm going to quite frankly say it, if you are, you're doing it wrong. If that is what you're doing it in mind with. And you're going to have very minimal, if not no, success. Because we don't have to escape from life. That is what death is for, and it will come for you eventually. Trust me. That's just one of those facts of life. But we don't have to. We don't have to escape from life. As long as we know we live in a supportive universe. And like I said, I truly believe with everything in my being that when we are willing to just spend a little bit of time thinking differently, we can start to see the supportive universe we truly live in. And that we do truly live in a inherently supportive universe. And I'm not just saying this. This is not just something that I talk about. I know that I believe this because I watch and I'm aware of my own actions. And I know that my own actions express this, because that is what a belief is. It's that unconscious thing, whether you're conscious of it or not. It is that unconscious thing that dictates all of your actions. So that's how you can tell what your beliefs are. Or that you have beliefs at all. And maybe I can make that a whole video. We'll see. Maybe I just gave it all away in that moment. Who knows? We'll find out. But yeah. If you want to know what your beliefs are, look at your actions. And then start just a couple of times a day for a split second checking in with yourself so that you can start building a life that, as I say, is kinder and simpler, because I truly believe that we can live a life that is kinder and simpler. All right, guys, thank you for joining me for another video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out the links in the description, which include my Patreon, which if you want to get into my intuitive lifestyle course, you've got to sign up for the Ascending, Sanctuary, or Enlightening tier membership. I just put out a video for Spirituality 2.0 that is also accessible to the Awakening tier. Those are all the 4 tiers that I have on Patreon: Awakening, Ascending, Sanctuary, and Enlightening. Awakening is just $11 a month, $11.11 a month. And the Ascending is only $23 a month, and that gives you basically everything my Patreon has to offer in terms of content. You know, and then I have the Sanctuary, which also has the Sanctuary content, including everything the Ascending and Awakening has, you know. So you've got a set Awakening, then Ascending has the Ascending content and the Awakening content. And then you have the Sanctuary that has the Sanctuary, Ascending, and Awakening. And then you have the Enlightening, which has the Ascending and Awakening. And the only difference between the Enlightening and Ascending tier is that the Enlightening tier also comes with a once a month one-on-one session with me and Voxer direct messaging. So And then the sanctuary has all the Sanctuary of the Awakened content. If you're red-pilled in any way, if you know what red-pilled is, you're probably red-pilled. If you don't, you're probably not. I'll just put it that way. There's a possibility. Some people out there are red-pilled who don't know what red-pilled means, but I'll ask you this. If you don't know what red-pilled means, how do you feel about the word woke? If you really like the word woke, you're probably not red-pilled. If you don't like the word woke, then you're probably red-pilled. We'll just leave it at that. Although I guess if I really think about it, people who are really, really like deeply spiritual and red-pilled, because the only meaning that anything has is the meaning we give it, may not care whatsoever about the word woke. I don't know. Anyway, let's wrap this up, shall we? So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. If you're really ready to heal, grow, and expand, as I say, I still have openings for one-on-one clients, because I just opened so darn many of them this last round. And yeah, may the energies you serve you well, and let's keep making our way through.